Okay, number 21. This time, instead of finding the slope, we're actually going to come up with the equation. So they want the answer in slope-intercept form. So they want you to use y equals mx plus b, but they're giving you the numbers so that you can plug them in. So what would your answer be here if you plug in the m equals -7 and the b equals -1/8?
It'd be y equals -7x minus 1/8.
Very good. We don't need to put plus a negative. We can go ahead and just put minus. And that would be the answer. Okay, this next problem is going to take a little bit of work. It says find an equation of the line with the slope m equals 3 that passes through the point 2, 2, and it would like you to write your final answer in standard form, ax plus by equals c. However, we most likely cannot start in standard form. We also cannot start in slope-intercept form. Let me explain why though, because this sometimes confuses students. Sometimes people want to do this, right? And I understand because we're always looking for a shortcut, right? We want to say, okay, well, we know the slope is 3. And let's just say, okay, let's plug this number in, right? This is a y coordinate. Let's plug this number in here. Why is it not correct to put the +2 there? Why is that invalid?
Is it because there's an x coordinate?
Very good, because B represents the y-intercept, right? Isn't that what we've talked about before? And the y-intercept, to be a y-intercept, if you think of a graph, right, any point that you pick on the y-axis, let's say I pick this one right here, always has an x-coordinate of 1. So let's say this is the point, the y-intercept is 2, but the x-coordinate would have to be 0. Whereas here, the x-coordinate is a number other than 0, so this number is not your y-intercept. Okay, so that's why you can't do that in case you've ever wondered or tried to do that. That's why it doesn't work. But we have another way. We have point-slope form, right? Do you remember learning about that? So we're going to use that here because it works for any point. It doesn't have to be the y-intercept. So y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. That is point slope form. So we're going to plug in m, and then we're going to use this ordered pair as our x1, y1. So that would give us a y minus 2 equals 3 times the quantity x minus 2. The next step would be to distribute the 3. So what would that give us?
3x minus 6.
Good. And then we're trying to get our answer in standard form. So we want the x and y on the left side of the equation and the constant on the right side of the equation. So what could we do next?
Subtract 3x on both sides.
Which it doesn't combine with anything on that side, so that's fine. We'll just put it in front because we want the x term first. So negative 3x plus y minus 2 equals negative 6. And now we want to get rid of that negative 2, right? So how could we move it to the other side?
You add it.
Add 2 to both sides. So now we get negative 3x plus y equals negative 4. Is that one of our answer choices?
Mm-hmm.
A.
Yes, it would be A. Good. If for some reason you don't see it there, one thing you might want to try before you freak out and think you have to start over the problem is make sure to multiply your equation by -1, because it might be that that answer is there. So the answer 3x minus y equals 4, right? Change all the signs, could also be an acceptable answer and might be listed instead of the answer you got originally. So just keep that in mind.
Okay.
Okay, so how do we start number 24? It's very similar, but there is something that's a little bit different.
We have to find the slope.
Good. So why don't you guys do that? Take a minute and find the slope. So what did you get for the slope?
2.
We got 7 minus 3 over 4 minus 2 is 4 divided by 2, which is 2. Good. Now, can we start in slope-intercept form? The y equals mx plus b? No, because we don't have a y-intercept, right? Both of these points have x coordinates that are not 0. So we need to do point slope again. And you can actually pick either ordered pair. So it doesn't matter which one you pick, it'll work out correctly either way. I'll go ahead and pick the first one just because it's already labeled x1, y1, but there would be nothing wrong with picking the other ordered pair. It would still work. So now what would this look like? Y minus what?
3.
Equals
2.
2. Parentheses.
X minus 3.
X minus the x coordinate. So
Yeah.
x minus 2. Very good. Now what would you do?
Distribute.
Good. So y minus 3 equals
2x minus 4.
good. And now what do we need to do next?
I would add the 3 to both sides.
We can do that. And if they asked for slope-intercept form, you would be done. However, they asked for standard form. So what do you still need to do?
Subtract the 2x.
Good.
And that's
Is
C.
that answer listed? Yes, you just said it's answer C. Very good. If it wasn't there, what could you do?
Multiply by -2 or by -1.
To see if that was there. Good. Well, these are some fun ones. Find an equation of the vertical line and then find the equation of a horizontal line. Okay. This is when we need to remember the trick that I mentioned earlier, which is what does the equation of any vertical line look like?
X equals.
X equals some number, right? Well, of course, let's think about this on a graph for a second. If you have the ordered pair 5, 3, and you're drawing a vertical line through it, what does X have to equal?
5.
5, right? So it's always going to be whatever the number is for that variable, right? So the X coordinate was 5, right? So that's going to be the number that you use. So what about number 27? For a horizontal line, how does that always work?
Y equals.
It's always Y equals, right? So we can do the graph again, but I have a feeling you might already know what the answer is going to be. If we draw a horizontal line through that point, we'll pretend that line's horizontal. It's kind of horizontal. what would it be? Y equals what number?
1.
1, right? Because you have to use whatever the y coordinate was. So let's look at number 29. It's going to take it a step further. Find an equation perpendicular to y equals -6 and passing through -8, -9. So I first want you to think about y equals -6. What kind of line is that?
Horizontal.
Horizontal. And if it helps, you certainly don't have to, but if it helps, by all means, draw out these problems because that might actually help you figure out what's going on, right? So there's the line y equals -6. Okay, perpendicular. If you have a horizontal line, right, what kind of line is perpendicular to a horizontal line?
Be a vertical.
Be a vertical line. Visually, right, can you see that? That's what's going to form a right angle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a vertical line. What does a vertical line always have as its equation?
An X.
Mm-hmm. So you're going to have x equals, and then it needs to go through this other point, right? -8, -9. So it's going to be a vertical line that goes through that point, right? Because this one kept going. Geez, it shifted on me. Sorry about that. There's the line, I think. Did I count 8 correctly? Yeah. So what would the equation of that line be?
Would it be y equals -8x -6?
Okay, so we're making it more confusing. This is actually just a vertical line, right?
Oh.
So a vertical line is always going to be x equal to some number.
Oh, it'd just be x equals -8.
Exactly. So I think that's what you're saying, though, is what a lot of people try to do is they think that you have to use the -6 in the answer, but you actually don't. That number right here does not affect your answer at all.
Okay.
Because you have y equal to some number, you just know it's going to be a horizontal line. That's all that's really telling you. It doesn't matter where the horizontal line is located.
Okay.
Okay, so I know that one's a little tricky
Yeah.
because it's easy to think that the answer here, like, there's no way that's all it is. There's got to be more involved. So why don't you guys try this one? See if you can, let's see. Oh no, we have to do another one first. Sorry. So 31, although you guys can try that one. See if you can do 31 without any tips from me. Because we've actually done something like that already. So how did you approach it?
I don't know if I'm right, but I use the point-intercept formula.
Good, the point slope formula?
Yeah.
So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1.
Mm-hmm.
Good. So why couldn't you just start, since it asked for slope intercept, why was your answer not just this? Why was your answer not just y equals 2x plus 10?
Because of the -9.
Good. I'm making a big deal of that because it happens a lot. Okay, good. So you have to start with point slope. So y minus 10 equals 2 times x what?
It'd be minus -9.
X minus -9, which actually becomes x what?
Plus 9.
Plus 9. Good. But they want the final answer in slope-intercept form, so what would you do now?
Distribute.
And then what would be your next step?
Add 10 to both sides.
Good. So it actually ends up being a slightly shorter problem than what we were doing earlier, where we had to get it into standard form, but it's basically the same idea. So how did we do with that? Did we get it right?
Yep.
Awesome. So I want you to try to reason through this one then. Number 32, it's also similar to what we've just been doing. Can you figure out the equation of the line parallel to the x-axis that goes through the point -6, -4?
Oh yeah, this was on the practice test that we did.
So here's what I want to remind you of. The x-axis is really what kind of line?
A horizontal line.
A horizontal line. So really, this isn't any different from saying through -6, -4 parallel to y equals 0, which makes it very similar to the problems we were just doing up here, right? Kind of like number 29 or something, except it's parallel instead of perpendicular. But do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That it's similar to that? Okay. So we want to find a line parallel to a horizontal line. So what kind of line is parallel to a horizontal line?
And another horizontal line.
Another horizontal line, right? Okay, so we need to figure out what horizontal line goes through the ordered pair -6, -4. So what would be the equation of that horizontal line?
X equals -6.
Okay, so that would be if we wanted the vertical line. So that would be correct if it said perpendicular, which I'll go ahead and write down. If everything was the same, but it said perpendicular, then your answer would absolutely be x equals -6.
Oh, okay, so parallel.
But parallel means it has to be another horizontal line. So how do you write the equation of a horizontal line?
Y equals
Y equals what?
-4.
Good. So it'd have to go through that point. Okay, since this is a little complicated, so I'm going to have you guys do number 33. See, even though I know I originally wasn't going to, but we're doing fine with time. So go ahead and try number 33. So the x-axis is what kind of line?
A vertical or horizontal.
Horizontal.
Horizontal. Good. It's the same as saying the line y equals 0, right? Okay. So what kind of line is perpendicular to a horizontal line?
A vertical line.
A vertical line. So we need the vertical line that goes through the ordered pair 1, -6. So what would be the equation of that line?
Y equals 1.
Okay, so if you want a vertical line, what is the equation of a vertical line? Which variable does it always use?
Well, we'd use the Y,
Mm,
well, the -6.
so when you're doing in general, whenever you're writing a vertical line, which variable do you have to use?
X.
X. So we're going to use X equals
Oh.
what number?
X equals 1.
X equals 1. Because we want to be perpendicular, so we want to form a right angle when the two lines cross. So your answer here would be X equals 1. Now, if it said, instead of perpendicular, if everything was the same, but it said parallel, right, which it could be either one, because if you look at the last problem, it said parallel, right? But then you would be wanting to get another horizontal line. So what would be the equation of the other horizontal line through that ordered pair 1, -6?
Would it be 6?
You'd have to use the -6, yes. And then which variable for horizontal lines?
Y.
So it would be y equals -6.
Okay, yeah, so for parallel, it's always through the Y axis.
If you're doing parallel to the x-axis, yes, it's always going to be a y equals.
I don't know why
Marla,
this
do you have a
one.
question?
Yeah, because I don't know why this one confuses me.
Okay.
So the X is vertical. Oh no, wait, the Y is vertical and the X is horizontal. I don't know.
Well, so there's a difference between the axis and the equation.
Oh,
So maybe
okay.
that's what's confusing you.
I just have that backwards. My bad.
So the x-axis is a horizontal line. So the x-axis has an equation of y equals 0.
Right, the X goes through, or the Y goes through the X. Okay, never mind. I was just backwards.
It's okay. It's confusing. The horizontal and vertical lines are very easy to mix up. So you're not alone at all in that.
Yes.
Caitlin's nodding along. She understands.
Yeah. I kept getting that wrong, and I was like, I don't know why. I was like, it's the same thing, but I was getting the axis versus like the intercept mixed up.
It can be like,
Yeah.